What's up, guys? So we are back here with the patch notes from September 27th for Archeworld, and not that much changed, but it has caused an outrage. And let's talk about what has changed. So, 2 hours after Delphinod Ghost Ship is appeared, it disappears into the time space. So as always, these are translated by Korea, so these are going to be phrased really, really funky sometimes. So, what this means is the ghost ship goes away after 2 hours. If it hasn't been killed, it goes away, and it doesn't sit around. Rankings. Starting next week, the amount of Vocation tome given as production activists ranking rewards will be reduced. So there is a huge amount of rewards that were available for planting crops. The top 100 players on each server, Asia 1, Asia 2, or North America 1, North America 2, were receiving rewards, bonus rewards. And a lot of people didn't know or didn't notice, and they were in the thousands of these Vocation tomes. So there was a lot of Vocation tomes being given out for free off of these rankings. Way too much, essentially, they thought. And after seeing the price of the Vocation tomes and the Vocation items going down to next to nothing, they decided to cut this back significantly. And now we'll show you in a little bit, once the game loads up, how much we're going to get per week. It's a few hundred now, so it's a huge change from the thousands that were offered before. Also, interesting note, we'll talk about that when we get there, but there wasn't even 100 people registered for each side, each server, Asia 1 and Asia 2, or North America 1, North America 2, it looked like. So it's very easy to get that basic reward if you want, but it does cost Archeum, so we'll talk about that in a second. Dungeons! Dungeons got a boost. This right here increased the price of instant dungeon tickets. So the tickets went up a little bit. So it used to be 1,000 red Archeum to enter the ticket into the lowest dungeon. Now it's currently 1,500 red Archeum. So 50% increase there. But the rewards are increased. They increase the amount of incomplete Archeum shard obtained from the dungeons, from playing, and also sweep/loot box. So I personally have not played the dungeons themselves, but I have sweeped them, and the sweep rewards are significantly increased. So before it was around 300 Archeum shards for a sweep on the low level one, and now with the sweep that I did, I got 1,800 approximately Archeum shards. It was like 1779 or something like that, right? So almost 1,800. That was a 5 times increase approximately on Archeum shards. I did more of the sweeps as well. Most of them ended up being profitable, and one was a huge jackpot. I got around 4,500 Archeum shards from one of the sweeps. One of them was a slight loss. It was like a 2,200 Archeum shards, and it cost 3,000 to enter. But again, it seemed very RNG. But this is a significant increase, and I'm assuming that if you actually physically play the dungeons and beat the bosses in a decent amount of time, because the bosses do give more rewards the faster you kill them, that these rewards probably scale off of that as well. Again, I don't know, have not done that, don't have a party to do it with right now, and I don't have time because we're going on vacation soon. But yeah, I would suggest running the dungeons manually at least once with a 5-man party, trying to beat the boss as quick as possible, and checking out the rewards and see if it is very, very profitable, or if it's just semi-profitable, or if it is not even profitable at all. And it all depends on your value that you put on your time, the value of the items that you get as well, and how fast you can do it. So that was the big change, the big positive change. Then we also have this added combat level effect to +9 equipment that can be enhanced. And it says reduce the value of combat level to +10 potential as +9 enhancement potential has been opened. So very, very confusing wording. What this simply means is they have changed the combat level. So instead of being 3.0 for a +10, you can now see combat level has been split. So at +9, you're going to get a 0.6 combat level on your primary weapon. And at +10, you now get 0.24. So the same 3.0 combat level buff is still there, but it is split. Some of it has now gone to +9, which is a nice, healthy change. And that affects on all weapons, armors. And it's all going to be split, around, looks like the 20%. 20% to the +9, and then 80% now is in the +10. So this encourages players to actually go to +9 rather than stopping at +8 and giving up there. The percent to upgrade is still incredibly low. They did not change the RNG chance there. It is incredibly low, down in the single digits to get up to +9 from going to +8. You can see Aston is the top whale in the server, 24,000, and he still does not even have the +10 combat level bonus. And he has spent hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars on the game. All right, so now that we have this up, we can show the rankings for the Vocation as well. So Vocation tab over here. And these are the rankings. So even this guy who's at 0 points could potentially end up getting into the top 100 on the server. Because if we take a look at the rewards, the top 100 overall get BSLT rewards. So this is the primary reward. But if you click on this tab right here, you can see the rewards for server 1. And then this also is going to be on server 2. If you are on server 2, it will say server 2. So you also get these special rewards, and it goes all the way down to the top 100 players on server 1. So the top 100 players are going to get now 10 wrap Vocation tomes, which before it used to be like 50 or 100. It was a significant amount more, and that's why they had to change this down, because these Vocation tomes became worthless. And then you also get this Vocation Apprentice. This is going to increase the harvesting speed for your crops. You'll see on your character when you open up, you'll see this little tab, Vocation Grade, and you click on this and you can see there's multiple different levels of this. So harvest speed, 5% reduction, 6 or 8%, 10%, 12%, 15% at the max level. So these little title bonuses are going to get you faster harvesting, which is a really, really cool benefit. And you're like, well, I'm never going to be in the top 100. They have so many points. If we look over here, this is the top 100. So this is where you would need to be to get the BSLT reward. You need to have 76,000 points to be in the top 100. But not many people put themselves on the leaderboards if they're not up there, right? So like if they're not in the top 100, you can see your points. You're like, oh, I've got 5,000 Vocation points. I'm not going to put myself up there. So they're not going to do this. They're not going to waste Archeum, because to put yourself on the leaderboards, it costs 3,000 red Archeum to put yourself on the leaderboards. To my understanding, the points do not increase unless you re-register and spend more red Archeum on there. So let's go take a look at our server, NA1, and we'll go previous rank, and we can go take a look and see there's only 82 registered players. So this person, Suffocate, he registered himself with 0 points. So once again, that leads me to believe that the points are not accumulative after you've put yourself on the leaderboards, because he probably mistakenly put himself on the leaderboards, early on in the week, first day. He's like, cool, leaderboards, let me click this button. Put himself on there with 0. And he forgot about it. And he didn't come back and didn't re-register because he didn't have enough points or whatever, right? But he still ended up getting 82nd place on leaderboards, because it's kind of stupid to register yourself when you're not going to get anything. But he actually lucked out and he got rewards, because there was rewards for the top 100 NA SA players. Same thing with this. So even just up here, these guys at 78,000 or in 63rd, 62nd, 64th place. If we go and look at NA2, we can take a look at NA2 and see here. NA2 has the same kind of thing. So even just for registering at all, just registering any amount of points, you were at 66th place on NA2. Because once again, they saw that there was a top 100. They didn't have enough points to be in the top 100. So people don't waste that red Archeum to get up there. So these guys all are getting rewards regardless of, the BSLT reward, right? They're in the 60th place right here. So they're getting the heroic reward. If we go back, we can take a look even in the top 40. So if you had 38,000 points, you would have gotten into the top 40 on NA2. The rewards for being in the top 40 are pretty nice. Even right now, after the nerf, it's 60 of the wrap Vocation tomes, and then you get the green Vocation Craftsman buff. So this grand buff. We don't have confirmation. So if anyone has got these buffs before, do they stick around, or are they only a 7-day thing? Let us know in the comments if these stick around and if you can just progress your character and get all the way up to the higher levels. Because it looks like that the artisan is there, and then this is the top one. So it looks like there's no way to get the expert one if they don't just stick around. Although this does say expert. And this is artisan. So the colors might be mistakenly placed. So artisan could be purple, possibly. Again, let us know if these are 7-day timed buffs and they go away. If you got one of these in the prior weeks. Love to know that feedback. So let's keep on going. There's still a little bit more here. And this is the big negative change that people do not like. It says only 10 bound hereafter stones from the general merchant can be purchased per day per character. So, and then they also changed the craft of the hereafter stone. Crafting requires 5 mineral crystal now instead of 30 faint rift stones. So they made it way cheaper to craft this. Mineral crystals are from harvestals. I believe the stone crops that will be able to proc the mineral crystals. And then the cost of Archeon went from 50 to 300. So what we're seeing with this is that it's actually cheaper now to purchase hereafter stones on the market. Since the crafting recipe has changed on NA1 and NA2 at least, the price of hereafter stones has gone down. It's 0.1275, 0.14, approximately right around there. If we look at the history, we can see that before this, hereafter stones were selling for around 0.2, like 1.7, 1.9, 1.7. There wasn't many people buying or selling hereafter stones though. 50, 160, 50, 80, etc. Now, after this change, we're starting to see more and more people interact with hereafter stones. And this should probably go up in the future once people start to run out of hereafter stones, because they did pre-announce that the hereafter stones were going to become a limited purchase from the vendor. So anyone that was smart went and bought a bunch of hereafter stones to stock up, because they knew that they would not be able to use the vendor for endless hereafter stones anymore. So this right here has gone up significantly, 4 or 5 times the basic value, and the cost has actually gone down some, which is a welcome change. Now, let's talk about the big reasons why they did this. Their core mission statement is to increase the Archeum burn rate. And by doing that, that makes Archeum more valuable. So this is a way to increase the Archeum burn rate. So now players cannot just simply buy these things freely. They have to go and craft them. They're going to go spend 300 Archeum to craft the hereafter stones, and then now they're going to use them, or they're going to sell them to someone else. So this is a very, very big change to the game and the economy. The entire focus of this is to burn more Archeum. Right? There's a sub-focus here also that you can infer. They're doing this change once again to prevent people from having hundreds of houses. And you're like, well, that doesn't really make sense. Like, didn't they sell land? Didn't they want people to have houses and land like that? So I think that they want people to have the biggest possible land. If you're playing the game, the small and the mediums are supposed to be stepping stones. You're supposed to start the game out, try it out with a small land, and if you like the game and you want more farming space, then you go and upgrade to a medium, and then a large, and then an extra large, and then a mega. I think that is the intended purpose of lands. But what we saw happen over the last year was players would simply buy all the smalls, rent all the smalls, buy all the mediums, rent all the mediums, because the mediums had the best return on investment, and the smalls were also very, very good return on investments. And then the extra large and mega really didn't see anyone rent, because it was just better to have smalls and mediums. So this is indirectly pushing people back to the system that they want in the game. They want you to upgrade your land to a larger land rather than have 15 smalls. They want you to have 2 mediums rather than 15 smalls. They want you to have 1 large instead of 2 mediums, and so forth, right? They do not want you to have 100 lands. They do not want you to be harvesting 100 lands and crops. They've also done this indirectly with the Ocean update and the Lumina system. Lumina and boats, everyone now needs to make blue Archeum to get the blue salt stars. You cannot really do 100 houses with boats and Luminas quickly. Like, in order to do that, it would cost you tens of thousands of BSLT to try and make all those boats. It was very, very cost inefficient. So if you had 100 houses and you were going into this Ocean update, your earnings went down to next to nothing. And you were unable to pay your rents, and you were unable to keep your properties because they're not sustainable anymore. I think that was by design. I think they do not want players to have more than, say, 5 or 6 houses. They do not want players to monopolize the entire world. And this is a way that they're using to prevent that from happening. We'll bring back the other fact that when they released Asia Server 2, the primary reason that they announced Asia Server 2 was because there was no land for players to join on Asia 1. A new player joining Asia 1 could not play the game because they could not rent land. The land was completely filled up besides the mega and a couple of the extra larges. So in order to alleviate these kind of problems, they have to cut out a lot of people that have massive land farms, the land barons. They have to get rid of those land barons, and they have to free up land for players that want to jump in the game and start out and have 1 land or 2 lands. Like, that, I think, is the primary reason for a lot of these changes. Well, maybe not primary on the Archeum, on the Hereafter stones, because the primary reason there is simply to increase the Archeum burn, right? Like, they want the Archeum burn to happen via crafting, which then brings up the Archeum price, which then once again makes owning a house more profitable. So all these little changes, they have indirect meanings to them. Indirectly, the Hereafter stone change really, really hurts, right? Especially for someone that has 50, 60 houses, the Hereafter change is incredibly bad. You're going to spend a lot of money on those teleports, and it might not even be worth it to teleport to different houses. You have to make that decision, crunch the numbers, and decide, do I let go my houses, or do I press forward on keeping the houses? And is it still profitable to teleport twice a day to each house? The Lumina system also has a very funky timer setup, right? It's 6 hours, or it's a little bit larger if you have the arc life. So that right there is also saying, hey, come to your houses more often, but if you do, you're going to have to pay the Hereafter stone tax. With Arc Life, though, at Arc Life staking 3,000 BSLT, you can actually manage your Luminas from anywhere in the world. So it almost forces you into using the Arc Life staking to have staking level 2 for 3,000 BSLT. And again, I think this is all by design. This is all intentional from them. They are trying to make a self-sustainable game that is here for years upon years. And these pain points are painful in the short term. But once you get used to them, the price of Archeum should increase, which means the profit on the land will actually increase. And also, as you notice, we talked about the dungeons being buffed with Archeum shards. They also are aware that the Archeum shard price is too high. We can see right now it's 20 BSLT for a stack of Archeum shards. The reason that they are buffing the dungeons is because the Archeum shards are not enough. And also because people are not playing the dungeons, so they have to give them a reason to do those things. They've also said in the past that coming up in October, we're going to have a 3v3 arena, and the rewards are going to be more Archeum shards. So all these data points prove to you that they know that there is two little Arceum shards being produced right now. They want to bring down the Arceum shard price some, but they don't want to overdo it. In the beginning of the game, they had drop rates that were far too generous, and the Arceum shards were down to 1 BSLT for a stack of 10,000. They don't want that. They don't want a massive oversupply. They're trying to fine-tune all of these systems to get everything in line. They probably want Arceum shards to be around 5 to 10 BSLT per stack is my guess. And then, of course, they want the Arceum price to be up maybe 35 to 50 BSLT for red Arceum, and then probably about 100 BSLT for a 5,000 stack of blue Arceum. Those would be my guesses. They did talk about there's going to be a new shop that's coming out that is going to have blue Arceum items that you purchase. So a way to burn blue Arceum. That is the other mission statement. They're going to burn more Arceum. That is the whole point. And they have produced more faucets though. The ghost ships in the world, in the sea, drop a ton of Arceum, of blue Arceum. So they're adding more ways to use it, but they're also adding more ways to get it. And the players just have to gear up, aka make boats, get stronger, fight in the ocean to get that blue Arceum and to get those rewards. The boats are incredibly profitable. The ghost ships are incredibly profitable. I've heard that they can drop up to 50 trade packs that have around 5,000 blue Arceum each. So for a total of, 250,000 blue Arceum right there? It's pretty crazy. And on top of that, we also don't even know what the Kraken will drop yet. The Kraken has not been killed, and we don't have the drop data. If a ghost ship is able to drop up to 50 blue Arceum packs, that means to me the Kraken probably drops like 250 Arceum packs, or in Kraken's case, it's going to be Kraken tentacles that will probably be sold for a lot of blue Arceum. But again, it's all guessing. But the Kraken is probably way harder to kill than the ghost ships. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with these drops and rewards in the world. But that is my analysis on this stuff, and I agree with the direction that they're taking. I would personally be okay if they eliminated hereafter stones completely from the item vendor, right? This game is supposed to be a player-run economy, and having vendors, it kind of defeats the purpose a little bit. A vendor will be like, hey, I sell you this item, this is the price. And so a player can never sell it for more than that price. The nice thing with the vendor, though, it does give access to some items very cheaply or for a different currency like gold. But yeah, I think this change, even though I have 50, 60 houses that I have to teleport to each day and multiple times for the day, I think this change is a good change, and it will definitely affect my earnings, but I do think that overall the earnings will increase because of the Arceum burn increasing. And I do think they are on the right direction with the Arceum shards. The shard price should be going down in the near future. It doesn't look like enough people are doing the dungeons to actually decrease the Arceum shard price right now. But I think if more people do start to do the dungeons and realize like, hey, dungeons are actually pretty profitable right now, this is great, the shard prices might come down a little bit. But until we get more shards in the world, so 3v3 arenas coming soon, and other things that potentially increase more shard drop rate, those shard prices are going to stay pretty high. Anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching as always. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I will see you in the next one.